All right, I'm gonna talk about the book of Judges. Wow. This book is very, very gruesome and graphic. This book is definitely not for kids. Um, so this is what happened, right? So Joshua led the Israelites to the promised land, right? Everything's gonna be great now, right? Oh man, everything's gonna be fine and dandy. Well, here, this is what it's like. This is what it reminds me of right here.
We saved the city! Just think what might have happened if we didn't tell everyone about the monster!
Alright, so, so what happens is the Israelites get to Canaan, and instead of chasing the Canaanites away and the Philistines away, they become, interwoven with their culture. Instead of chasing them away, like God said, they absorb their culture and their idols, okay? And they lose sight of God completely. That's what this whole book is about. This book is gruesome for a reason. That's the point. All the Israelites lose their way. Even the Levites lose their way. The priests lose their way completely. The descendants of Moses, even Moses' own relatives became bad. All the tribes, they start fighting against each other. They start fighting over idols. Okay, it's really bad. It's just this whole book is really gruesome, and I'm gonna get into it. Okay, so the Israelites are battling this Bezek. It's a town. It's a king of the Canaanites, the Philistines. Okay, and the Israelites go and they cut off this king's thumbs and toes. Okay, and they start cutting off the thumbs and toes of all the kings of this place. Don't ask me why. I mean, there's probably a reason for that, but it's just gruesome. That's the point. But that really happened. Okay. I also want to talk about what judges are. Judges are like, they're little rulers that God appointed to try to save the Israelites. Okay, they're kind of like Moses, but like they're done walking through the wilderness technically, but their judges are not like Judge Judy. They're like governors. Okay, that God appointed like governors to rule people, and they keep messing up big time. Okay, so this guy Judah, he goes and attacks this Philistine king, and he cuts off his thumbs and his thumbs and toes. And then there's Ehud. He's another judge. He's a left-handed Benjamite, and he ends up being bad too. There's Deborah, who's actually like a female judge, and she ends up being a judge for a while. And there's Joelle. This Joelle chick. This is another gruesome story. She drives a nail into this guy's head and it crushes his skull. Okay. This is all gruesome stuff, but that's the point. Okay, these people, they're trying to do what God said, but they're just out of control, and they completely lose the character of who God is. All right. And then there's Gideon, who makes an idol. There's Abimelech, who's Gideon's son. This guy was really bad. He killed all his brothers. 70 of his brothers. He had 70 brothers. He killed them all. Okay. He went to this Philistine town. He salted their plant. He salted the earth, and he burned the whole town alive. Men, women, and children. He burned them alive. Okay. He was a really bad guy, and when he was trying to invade a town, this woman threw a brick on his head and crushed his skull. Okay, and I'm saying out of the Bible, it says it crushed his skull. It crushed his skull. It was trying to be grotesque on purpose. Okay, and then I'm gonna get into the next part. All right. Then there's this judge named Jephthah, and it looks like he's doing okay for a while. Okay. But what happens is that, what happens is he he looked like he's doing okay. He's a judge. He's doing all right. And then he gets confused because they forget how God's character is. Like, he's working for God, but he doesn't really understand God. They don't understand God anymore. They have no connection to him. The love, or like the connection to him, is like weak. And so Jephthah wins all these battles against the Philistines, and so he burns his daughters. He sacrifices his daughter to God, even though did God want you doing that? No. Okay. Because he's confused. You guys, like, they got too entwined with the Philistine Canaanite culture, or that's probably normal, okay? And so they are confused. He's like, oh, thank you, God, for making me win this war, so I'm going to go kill my daughter, and I'm going to sacrifice my daughter for you, okay? Yeah, they're lost. They're so lost because they got entwined with the Canaanites' culture, okay, and they forgot everything. And then this is probably the worst. And there's a story of Samson and Delilah. That's a whole nother video, because that's a main. That the Samson and Delilah characters of Judges is like a main story. It's a big story of the Bible, and so I'm gonna make a whole nother video on Samson and Delilah. Samson was another judge. He also became very wicked. Okay, he lost his way too. I'm gonna get that's a whole nother video. So there's after this Jephthah, there was Samson. Okay, and that's a whole nother video, so I'm going to skip over that real fast. So after Samson, after he failed, quote-unquote failed, there was Micah, okay, and he brought in a Levite, and they started fighting over all these idols, and the tribe of Dan were fighting over all these idols that they made, okay, these graven images. They were fighting over them. And they're like all throughout the stories of the stories of Judges, like they keep burning people alive, the whole cities. It's absolutely disgusting. Okay, and this is probably the most disturbing story. It's not funny. This is horrible. But it's a throwback to Lot. Okay, remember when Lot was in the house, and the Sodomites were they're pounding on the door to rape the angels, okay? But they didn't win, right? Because the angels blinded them. The same kind of story happened again. This Levite, but this is a priest, by the way. He's supposed to be the good guy, right? Levites are supposed to be the priests, right? The Benjamites are supposed to be fighters, okay? But they're supposed to be fighting for God. They're going to be next. But this guy was a Levite, all right? Just like the other Levite before is fighting over idols and graven images. And then there's this Levite. This story is disgusting. So he goes into this town, this old man takes him in, and this Levite has a concubine. He has a prostitute. Okay, already bad, right? Okay, so the men, just like with Lot, the men of the town started pounding on the door, and they're like, we want to know this Levite, which means rape, okay? When we're reading the Bible, like I said before, when they say we want to know him, that means rape. So what did the Levite do? He sends out his concubine instead, okay? So this is a really disturbing story. So they rape her all night long, okay? All night long. And this Levite, this nice guy, quote-unquote nice guy, just goes to sleep. He doesn't care, right? They have completely lost their conscience or anything, and their God is just like, what are you guys doing? So this guy, he sends out his concubine, and she's raped all night long until she's dead. Okay, like that's how disgusting that things have gotten. So he goes outside. This is really disturbing. This Levite, this priest, okay, he goes outside, sees his concubine dead. He sleeps all night, even though she's being raped all night long. He doesn't care, right? And what does he do? This is really disturbing, guys. This Levite cuts her into 12 pieces and sends her body parts off. Okay? Ugh. Okay, yeah, this is disgusting. But that's the point. They lost. It's anarchy. Complete anarchy, because they fell away from the true God, okay? And they started falling into the Canaanite gods and stuff like that, and they completely became possessed, basically, almost, right? They're completely gone. Okay, so basically at the end of Judges, there's a civil war between the Benjamites and everyone, and the Philistines, but the Israelites and the Israelites are fighting against each other. Okay, their houses are fighting against each other. They get into a huge war with the Benjamites, the Benjamins. Okay, and it's a civil war. They're not even fighting the Philistines anymore. They're fighting with each other. Right, they're completely lost their way. So there's a big war with the Benjamins. Again, they like the Israelites try to do like a sacrificial altar to God, saying we're sorry. Again, God keeps forgiving them, and they keeps giving them another chance, but they keep falling away. They keep getting bad. The judges keep getting tricked. Okay, they keep falling, and they even at the end of the book, they do say, "I'm sorry, God. The Benjamites they're turning against us," and so the Israelites gather all these people together, and this group doesn't show up. This town doesn't show up to their sacrificial thing to God, right? And so they get mad and they go and kill everyone in the town, the women and children and everyone. It's ridiculous. Everyone's gone crazy. Okay, and my next video is going to be about Samson and Delilah, because that's a whole other story. But basically, everyone's gone. They've gone nuts. They lost God and they lost their minds. Okay, that's the point. And my next video is going to be Samson and Delilah, because that's a whole other story.